We have Sam Case here to give us a rundown on what's going on.
Let's start with Foreign Affairs, where Secretary of State Antony Blinken appeared on ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and this was on Sunday. He outlined the dangers Iran poses to the U.S., but at the same time, he said the Biden administration is considering ending Trump-era sanctions and bringing Iran back into that nuclear deal. Secretary told Stephanopoulos that the U.S. is in discussions on lifting sanctions against Iran as a way to bring them back into the accord. Let's just take a quick listen to that.
We know what sanctions would need to be lifted if they're inconsistent with the nuclear agreement, but as important, and indeed more important, Iran, I think, knows what it needs to do to come back into compliance on the nuclear side. And what we haven't yet seen is whether Iran is ready and willing to make a decision to do what it has to do. That's the test, and we don't yet have an answer.
So as you can hear right there, he's saying they're going to work with Iran. I think he said they had discussions 5 times earlier in that interview with Iran to get them back into the nuclear accord.
Sam, you don't think Iran would lie to us?
Oh, never. No,
okay,
no.
All right, I'm just checking. I mean, obviously, Secretary of State doesn't believe that, and so I'm sure they wouldn't. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Why would they lie, Dan? They only hate us to their core. Then, doesn't make them bad people. but in that same interview, Blinken also said that Trump's hardline stances didn't get us where we wanted, which is kind of strange because we were achieving peace in the Middle East, especially between Israel and other Arab nations, because of the threat of Iran and taking Palestine off the table as an issue for those Arab nations. Trump scrapped the nuclear deal in 2018, calling it defective at its core, and warned it would result in Iran of actually achieving its goal of developing a nuclear weapon. And then Trump also slapped them with those heavy sanctions that were in place before the deal. In more regional news, back in the U.S., a Rasmussen poll asked 1,000 likely voters if they prefer more government with more services and higher taxes or a smaller government with fewer services and lower taxes. 55% of respondents said they do prefer smaller government, and 37% said they like bigger government. 68% of those polled, though, said that they don't think the government spends tax dollars well. So even some of the people who like bigger government think government's incompetent, which is interesting. Unsurprisingly, Republicans were dramatically more likely to want smaller government. 78% said they wanted smaller government. So that means there's still a decent chunk of Republicans who like high taxes and big government. On the other hand, 57% of Democrats believe that bigger is better when it comes to the government. What's really interesting, though, is the negative feeling towards big government doesn't necessarily match with Biden's polls, according to Rasmussen, even though Biden is known for big bills and bigger budgets. Rasmussen's daily presidential tracking poll shows as of Monday, 54% of likely U.S. voters approve of Biden's job performance, 43% disapprove, 33% strongly approve of Biden, and 37% strongly disapprove. This is just an opinion. Part of me wonders if this has to do with the ending of the virus. If people are feeling a little bit better about the country, they can get around and travel around more, and maybe those positive feelings are just being attributed to Biden. I'm not entirely sure, just a theory.
Visit FISM.tv/news for more content.